The old farmhouse on Maplewood Lane rested quietly against the fading glow of a late autumn evening in Ohio. Most of the trees had already surrendered their leaves, leaving the branches exposed and shivering in the wind. Inside, Sarah Miller sat at the kitchen table, her fingers curled around a mug of coffee that had long since cooled. The house felt far too big for just one person now, far too silent. Once it had been alive with laughter, feet racing up the stairs, doors slamming, and all the wild noise that came with raising children. But those days had slipped away, leaving only the low hum of the refrigerator and the memories that clung stubbornly to every corner of the home. Her son Daniel had been gone for 8 years. The final time she saw him, he had stood in the doorway with a duffel bag hanging from his shoulder. His jaw was rigid, his eyes burning with anger as they argued for the last time before he walked out. "I can't stay here, Mom," he had said. "I need to figure my life out. You don't understand me, and I feel suffocated in this house." Sarah's heart had cracked open that day. She pleaded with him to stay, but his decision was final. He left for the city, chasing ambitions she never fully understood, and the distance between them stretched farther with each passing year. Their phone calls grew infrequent, and visits disappeared entirely. At first, she convinced herself he simply needed time. But as the years slipped by, she began to wonder if he would ever return. The seasons shifted, the house aged, and Sarah kept waiting. On holidays, she would set an extra plate at the table just in case he showed up. At Christmas, she decorated the tree with the ornaments he made as a child, remembering how his small hands used to hang them awkwardly on the branches. On his birthday, she baked his favorite chocolate cake, even though she was the only one left to eat it. Her husband, Michael, had passed away 5 years earlier. He had been the glue that kept the family together, and without him, the fractures only deepened. He always believed Daniel would come back someday. "He's stubborn, just like you," Michael would tell her with a soft laugh. "But he loves you. He'll find his way home." Sarah clung to that hope even when it felt like it was tearing her apart. On that cold November evening, Sarah sat alone in the quiet kitchen when she heard a sound she hadn't heard in years, the crunch of tires on the gravel driveway. Her heart leapt. She rose slowly, her legs unsteady as she moved to the window. A car had pulled into the driveway, its headlights slicing through the dimming light. She couldn't make out who was inside, but something deep in her chest whispered that she already knew. The car door opened and a tall figure stepped out. Her breath stopped. It was Daniel. He stood still for a moment, staring at the house as if summoning the courage to approach. He looked older now. His hair was trimmed shorter, his face more defined, his shoulders weighed down as though carrying years of untold stories. Yet he was still her son. The same hazel eyes, the same crooked smile that once lit up the room. Sarah's hands trembled as she opened the front door. The cold air swept in, carrying the sharp scent of fallen leaves and damp soil. She stepped out onto the porch. "Daniel," she whispered, voice trembling. He lifted his head. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then he took a slow step forward. "Hi, Mom." His voice was soft, unsure, like he wasn't certain he still belonged there. Tears blurred her sight as she rushed toward him, wrapping her arms around him. For years she had imagined this moment, dreamed of it, held on to it when hope felt faint. And now that it was happening, she clung to him as if he might vanish again. "You came home," she cried softly against his shoulder. Daniel's arms slipped around her, hesitant at first, then firm. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have come sooner." They stood in the driveway, mother and son, letting the years of silence dissolve in the warmth of their embrace. When she finally stepped back, she held his face in her palms, searching every line and shadow time had carved. "You're here now. That's what matters." Inside the house, everything felt different again. The silence had lifted, replaced by footsteps, the familiar creak of the floorboards and voices that seemed to breathe life back into the walls. Sarah hurried to the kitchen, fussing over him, pulling out leftovers, offering him coffee. Daniel gave a faint smile as he sat at the table, the same table where he once scribbled homework and argued about curfews and dreams. "I don't even know where to begin," Daniel said, curling his hands around the warm mug she placed in front of him. His voice carried a heaviness she didn't remember. "I've been gone too long. Far too long." Sarah sat across from him, her gaze gentle as it searched his face. "Start wherever you want. I just want to hear you again." He inhaled slowly. Life didn't turn out the way I thought it would. I left thinking I could build something on my own. I wanted to prove I didn't need anyone. But the city chewed me up, Mom. Jobs came and went. People came and went. I messed up a lot. And I was too proud to come back here and admit I had fallen apart. Her chest tightened, but she reached for his hand across the table. You didn't fail. You learned. That's what matters.